This is a special News Center 7 presentation from WHIO TV.
I just keep thinking that it's still unbelievable to me, unfathomable, that we would have 15 tornadoes in one night.
Now we're getting a tornado emergency. We have several tornado warnings that are ongoing in the Miami Valley, and this is a dangerous situation that has been ongoing as this, I'm sorry, I'm getting choked. I'm thinking people are dying.
We do now have one confirmed fatality in Salina. So we have been going all morning, hoping that moment wouldn't happen, but it did.
She told me that losing Dale, their next door neighbor, Dale Hanna, those were the only tears she shed.
This was much different because it tore apart the Miami Valley.
WHIO just learned a tornado that hit Trotwood and Dayton was in fact an EF4 tornado.
Yeah, I'm looking around and I just couldn't believe what I was looking at.
What I would basically describe as an entire neighborhood leveled.
And I know that it's just going to take a really long time to get everything back together.
I'm happy that there were many lives saved.
And that's probably the most amazing thing to me.
To hear stories of folks say that I was almost sucked in by the tornado.
No roof, and then I looked up like this under the match. I seen the thing going like this, great with garbage.
To not be sucked away, that's a miracle. That's a miracle.
It hit everywhere in so many different places, and everyone is coming together from other places.
They didn't need to know their first name or their last name. They didn't even need to know their address. They just wanted to help.
No one called them, no one recruited them. They're walking through the neighborhood with bottles of water. What I think it's done more than anything is bring the community together.
I see resilience already. And I know we're strong. We are 937 strong. We are Miami Valley strong. We are Dayton, Trotwood, Brookville strong. And I know that we will bounce back.
The conditions of the environment just were coming together as we were getting into the late day evening hours. By 10 p.m., you can see north of I-70 is where the greatest risk for those storms will be located, but there's still the potential that some storms may fire off south of I-70 as well.
Looking at the soundings of the atmosphere, it didn't look like a tornado threat early on. The tornado threat was more into Illinois and Indiana.
We had kind of expected thunderstorms, had seen what was going on in Indiana, so I said, just a heads up, I'll set my alarm a little earlier, around 11:45. I'll wake up, get in, and we could finish whatever storms are out there, basically.
And I knew that there was severe weather that was impending later that day, but frankly, no idea that we were going to see a tornado outbreak as epic as what we saw.
Going back to before that event actually happened, 2 weeks prior I went to a weather conference and we do case studies there. One of the case studies was in Tulsa, Oklahoma. One of them was in Atlanta, Georgia, and you can see all of these outbreaks and, large tornadoes and how they're forming. And so the day of, I'm starting to see all these things coming together, these new tools that I had learned, and one particular thing from the Storm Prediction Center said that we would be 15 times more likely to have a tornado that day. And those storms are gathering off to our west. Where you see all of this shaded red, that's actually a tornado watch that is out for northern Illinois and northwestern Indiana. And I mentioned that to Dante.
The National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center also thought the same thing because they eventually put a tornado watch into Ohio as well. So maybe 1 or 2 quick spin up tornadoes, and then we realized that, okay, this is probably a little bigger of a threat.
We're getting past sunset. I'm expecting that, we may have a little bit of stabilization, but that's not what happened. In fact, it just appeared that the conditions just kept heightening. At this point, we are not under a tornado watch, but it's quite possible that we may be put under one as we head towards 8, 9 o'clock.
We had a front that was coming through, a warm front, and so that lifts the air. And then with that, we had a lot of turning of the winds with height in the atmosphere.
And more or less just the clashing of air masses that set up near where that jet stream had developed the way it did. Tons of moisture in the air that supplied it as well, and it was more or less the perfect storm.
And that was the first time I'd ever seen that type of rotation, that many areas of rotation, and I was like, oh my goodness.
I started to feel the anxiety building before the event because I knew, oh, this is going to be a really big deal, and I had to take my deep breaths as I was watching the tornado warnings just to our west and knowing this is it. This is going to be a long night. And then as soon as that warning came in, I was ready. I had prepped the director and everybody that needed to know, listen, once this warning goes, we're going.
McCall, possibly severe weather tonight.
Yeah, we have another round of thunderstorms developing to our west. You can see there is a tornado watch out for northwestern Indiana. We'll keep an eye on those storms as they move on in. And I said to Cheryl, we're probably going to be here late tonight.
Before I left, I said, am I okay to leave? You don't think any of this activity is going to start right away? She goes, you'll probably be fine till after 8 o'clock.
And then it was probably around that 8:30, 9 o'clock that I just saw back to our west in Indiana that tornado warnings were going. And I could see the environment that was in the Miami Valley, and I knew they were going to come in.
And I was sitting at my desk just after 9, and I saw the email that Wayne County, Indiana had a tornado warning. And I looked up at the monitor above my desk, and I saw McCall on the air.
I'm Storm Center 7 Chief Meteorologist McCall Vrydaghs, breaking into programming because a severe thunderstorm warning and a tornado warning has just been issued for the far western part of our viewing area.
So as it's our usual practice, the anchor who's here, and it was my night to work, got my stuff together and went down to the studio to kind of be her backup.
And then all of a sudden, a circulation just fired off in Mercer County. And now we are unfortunately near Salina getting reports of debris that's on potentially a tornado on the ground, and that was the first debris signature that I saw. Debris signatures are things that we use with radar products that tell us a tornado has definitely touched down. So that's when I knew, even if it was just that one community, this was a big deal. May have been some lowering of that cloud base. It was hard to tell. I wanted to get a closer look.
It sort of came down pretty low to the ground, and then it got worse and worse, and we saw the tornado warnings move into our area at Preble County, Darke County, Mercer County.
And then it escalated from there. Then we had a couple of circulations that were going into Miami County and up towards Ludlow Falls and Laura. That one showed a debris signature. That was the one that started to make me emotional. You're part of a sturdy structure. Get there now. This is a dangerous situation that has been ongoing as this. I'm sorry, I'm getting choked. I'm thinking people are dying.
I thought it's very likely right now that people are losing their lives. They're suffering serious injury. I knew people were losing homes, belongings, and just thinking chances are people are dying right now.
And I hope that they were watching. We need to be in our safe spots right now, Cheryl.
They have tornado sirens going off.
I could tell. I mean, I know them. And with the warnings popping up and the way that they handled that, I could tell that this was something.
All I could think of was, what can I say that's going to keep people safe? What do they need to hear right now? Get the bike helmets on them. Put them in the basement, put the helmets on them. Do whatever you can to stay safe. We care about you. This is not a time to think about anything looking silly. Please stay safe.
Then a couple more circulations popped up in Auglaize County. We had one that eventually was in Logan County. And this is potentially a tornado that is forming. This is the one just to the west of New Madison.
Before long, she's dealing with 6 tornado warnings at once.
Pretty much the same time the Ludlow Falls thing is happening. That massive circulation starts in Montgomery County. And now we're we're getting a tornado emergency coming in from Montgomery County. That is the highest level of warnings that you can get for this type of situation. And it took me about 1 or 2 seconds to really realize what that was, because it was so much bigger than the other ones in just the size. This is an atypical hook echo. This is awful. And because of how close I can get with radar and use the tools, I could see that there are all these streets and all these homes. When this is the hook, and this is where that debris and where that possible tornado is happening right now. That I'm not going to say possible, this is a tornado that is happening.
I just keep thinking that it's still unbelievable to me, unfathomable, that we would have 15 tornadoes in one night. I was in high school when the big EF5 hit Xenia, and some of my friends were affected by that, and that became the benchmark by which all of our storms, our tornadoes, were measured.
But I can still remember the stories of my parents. They lost friends in Xenia when the tornado hit. And I can remember the emotion that they had, seeing their friends dead.
33 or 34, depending on whose count you go with, lost their lives that day.
So I grew up 10 miles away from Xenia. I wasn't in town for the Xenia tornado in 1974. I was in my second year of college down in Kentucky. But I came home real quickly that weekend and saw the devastation. And
I mean, for Xenia, they were almost flying blind. Like, we were lucky that Gil Whitney was able to call out a few of those communities in Greene County. That was a big deal.
This storm is severe, a massive storm. The track indicated by the hook in our radar screen.
But at that point, we were lucky we had a radar on television.
If you can go ahead and pull up Max 2, I'll go ahead and step in front of the screen. So we have 2 tornado warned storms.
By far, technology was one of the biggest reasons that lives were saved in this outbreak. Our radar is closer to that position, and we're able to see things better and at a higher definition than the other radars surrounding us. It's paramount. There's no way we would be able to see what's going on to the degree that we do if we didn't have this radar.
In all honesty, a lot of folks have told me that if it weren't for the app,
I got the alerts off the WHIO weather app,
alerting me,
and it was accurate,
and letting me know.
Went down to the basement.
People were getting those alerts right on their phone, and they had 10 minutes to get inside.
So again, from the National Weather Service, a confirmed tornado, and then me being able to tune into you all on the TV side to realize what was going on, I would have never known.
This is a very serious situation, as McCall is pointing out, so we want everyone in our viewing area, we care about you, we want you to be safe tonight. In my almost 38 years at Channel 7, it was the most important night I've ever worked, because there were so many people affected and so many areas affected, and the warnings were so important, so critical to save people's lives. Don't take it lightly. Please go to your safe spot. So to get thanks from people and for people to say that you guys saved my life, it's the most rewarding thing ever.
Everywhere I go, I hear thank you to Cheryl and to McCall and to our entire team for what we do.
Thank you for warning us, for telling us. Thank you to your meteorologist. Tell McCall, thank you.
It was her humanity and the tone in her voice that made us realize, oh, we got to go to the basement now.
I kept hearing stories about people telling me, you know, their husband's always stubborn about storms, doesn't want to go downstairs, doesn't want to go in the basement.
You need to be in your safe spot, as there's the possibility of some rotation there.
McCall got through to their husband, and that he finally went to wherever the safe spot was.
I'm sorry. At first, after it all happened, I was somewhat, I don't know if embarrassed is the right word, that I got emotional, because my job is not to get emotional, my job is to be there. But then to get the reaction that because of my raw emotion and showing that I do care for the community, did what it should have done, is to get people into their safe spot.
to just still do your job and be a reporter and tell everyone else what's happening as these people are coming out of their homes and realizing that everything they've worked for is gone in just one night.
It's destroyed me.
Once I went into work and then I saw the damage for Beaver Creek, I realized this wasn't just a one city tornado. Everybody had extreme damage, and there were a lot of people that were going to need help.
But when you get into the neighborhoods and you're talking with a woman who, you know, my 90-year-old neighbor barely got down to her basement before her house came crumbling on top of her, and you see them start crying, how do you remain okay, impartial, and strong in that point?
The Xenia tornado was a special devastation because it tore apart one city. This was much different because it tore apart the Miami Valley.
Every place you look, dozens of communities heavily damaged, if not some destroyed. So that was a surreal moment to see the helicopter that I had spent so many hours of my career in, now above the devastation here in the Miami Valley.
While I was on TV watching it, I got a sense that Trotwood was one of the hardest hit areas.
It's a very difficult situation right now as that we have so much damage.
I remember the first time we showed Hara Arena.
We've got some take a look. This is my neck of the woods. This is the former Hara Arena there on Shiloh Springs Road in Trotwood.
But if you could have seen my face, I just was heartbroken.
And then the injuries started coming, and we confirmed a couple of people were in the ICU.
Upwards of 80, I think, injuries around the Miami Valley that we have counted so far. We did expect those numbers to go up. So far, still no deaths, which is the good news.
I'm going to interrupt you here.
Yes.
So there was a turning point in the broadcast for me where I basically stopped doing everything. This is the most unfortunate moment of the morning broadcast. We do now have one confirmed fatality in Salina. So we have been going all morning hoping that moment wouldn't happen, but it did. That someone had lost their life. It was emotional for me.
His next door neighbor, the couple we talked to, they lost their home. They survived because they got into their basement at the last second.
I kept saying it's a rumbling. It sounds like a train. Run now.
The wife, Wendy, she told me that even after losing their home and after all that damage we saw, she told me that losing Dale, their next door neighbor, Dale Hanna, she told me that those were the only tears she shed.
This, it's a life. He didn't make it.
As horrible an event as it was, it's such a unifying event too. You wonder if there's some divine intervention to say, look folks, you're a great community and we're going to prove it. This is happening right now.
We've had at least 7 cars walk by offering food and water.
So in the midst of all of this physical devastation around us, I heard stories of hope.
To see something like this, of everyone coming together, being like we're on the same page, you know, we're all struggling, we all need help, is, I think, hope.
Even those who lost everything were wondering, top of mind, how can we help? And that for me was very encouraging.
I just felt like, you know, God was watching over us and protected us like he did a lot of people. And so we survived.
And I've heard those stories before with tornadoes and flooding and how, you know, you really see the love of the community.
It's great. This is the way it should be. And there's no color in this.
Yeah.
There's no color. This is all from the heart. So, you know, this is what we're supposed to do.
But one of the neatest things was when we were walking through Trotwood and an older woman had come out of her house.
No, we're just blessed. We're still here because this was, look at all that.
And she had this beautiful grill.
I said, I'm getting ready to fire this grill up. I'd rather cook my meat than let it spoil.
And I was like, Janet, that was so sweet of you. But she did. She just was so nonchalant and just had such a, I'm fine though. Everyone we met was, well, I'm okay. You should really see the neighbors behind us.
We went down the street and I see the houses down there. We're kind of lucky. Like, I just felt like the whole house was about to move.
Even that first day, I mean, we're talking 12 hours into this storm, you know, going on 24. And people are just in this Northridge community just swarming. I mean, they've got food, they've got water, they've got clothes. And, you know, I am mid-interview with this woman, and these people come up and they're like, do you need anything? You know, can we do anything for you? Are you a praying person? Can we pray with you?
Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for keeping these folks safe.
But just the human-to-human compassion, it was just insurmountable. Such a beautiful moment. And, you know, the woman is in tears. I'm over here almost in tears. And that was just the attitude of people, though. What can I do for you? After I'm done with you, like, I'm gonna go to the next house and the next house. It never stopped.
You will be totally blown away. All you have to do is walk through the neighborhood. You'll find volunteers there. You'll find people who are donating water.
Yeah, I just really want to help my neighborhood, help everybody in the community.
I saw people just literally, no one called them, no one recruited them. They're walking through the neighborhood with bottles of water to give them to anyone who will take it.
Going all over. Whoever needs water, they're getting it.
You look one way, there's kids carrying big pallets of water. I mean, you don't have to look far to find people helping, and I think not just I, but folks that I've talked to that have suffered have been blown away by the way this community has stepped in to help.
And there's this little guy, and he was 4, 5, 6 years old, but man, he was carrying that case of water.
Yeah!
And he was helping people showing up, don't even know so many of these victims, but they didn't need to know their first name or their last name. They didn't even need to know their address. They just wanted to help. And you know what? It's that human spirit and that resiliency that we have. At the end of the day, I couldn't be more proud of.
Because when you literally see neighbors helping neighbors, communities coming together to do everything that they can, it's not necessarily a story that we did, but you see the video, we talk about it, but then you drive around and you see people just setting cases of water and some food on those street corners, and not, you know, trying to hand it out or anything like that, but just setting it there for people to come get as they want.
Everybody was really resolved to, hey, let's clean up, let's help our neighbors, let's get things done.
I have raked up my yard with complete strangers. I can't even explain the kindness and the generosity of people I've never seen in my life.
And I think that's just a testament to this Dayton sort of can-do spirit that's sort of always been the way our town is. You got a problem, just, you know, everyone's gonna have to pitch in. We're not gonna wait for the federal government to come help us because we know that's gonna be a while, and everybody just said, well, we gotta do it ourselves.
One of the first things I saw, moments, maybe minutes after this whole storm had gone through Beaver Creek, there was a family and they were cutting up trees, and I asked them, okay, why are you doing this? They said, well, my neighbor has a heart condition, and if he needs to go somewhere, we need to clear his path. So moments after the storm, people that had lost a lot were helping other people right away. And I just thought that was beautiful.
Just to see so many just everyday people out in these neighborhoods helping people they didn't even know. I was at Brookville High School, students who graduated and who are, coming up.
It was kind of like upsetting because I finished my whole high school career there and it's just got ruined in one night.
I said, it's your summer vacation, what are you doing? And they're spending it volunteering.
But what you saw though, you saw athletes coming together. You saw the Trotwood football team out cutting down a huge tree that had fallen in the yard of one of their teachers, one of their favorite teachers at Trotwood.
She do everything for me in the school, keep me good, make sure I ate good in school. I gotta help her.
Through it all, I've never doubted that the Miami Valley is going to rebound from this and be even better.
I think we go up. I think we move forward. We've done it before, we'll do it again. I think that this is a very resilient community filled with lots of love. So I think we will go forward, we will build again, we'll be newer, shinier, brighter, newer, better in days to come.
In this part of the country, it's been rough for us the last 15 years. But man, we got tough people here. We have people who are resilient, people who are going to get back up off the ground and go to work.
The Miami Valley has a long, long history of coming together after all kinds of calamities. Probably the biggest was the flood, 1913.
That attitude permeates into something like this. We have the flood and we're going to make the best flood control system in the nation, right? We have this happen and we're going to come back so much stronger. We're going to figure out how to fix things and do it better than anybody else.
The city had to figure it out itself. Industry literally came to a stop and transformed. The Great Dayton Flood is what really kind of set the tone for people being able to put everything aside and spend the next day or week or month or year in trying to save people.
The resiliency is there, and it's already starting to shine through with all of the organizations and just the individuals, individually and collectively that are coming together to help in some way.
It's a moment in time that we all share. We went through it in our own different versions, some worse than others, but I'm excited to see how people rebuild and the strength of people, and it gives me new faith in humanity. Overall, I think everybody's just been charging through, and I'm proud of us.
Throughout this Newsletter 7 special presentation, you've been hearing portions of a song called Rise Up.
A line in that song is similar to so many tornado survivor stories we have seen and heard from across the Miami Valley during the last month.
It says all we need is hope, and for that, we have each other.
We leave you now with Omega Baptist Church choir members singing that song over images of hope from our community.
And from all of us at News Center 7, thank you for watching A Community Rises.
You're broken down and tired of living